All right, welcome to another edition of the Primetime Night Owls. I'm Brian Howell, and please be joined once again by Matt Smith. And Matt, we keep coming and doing this every week after a Buffs win, and it's getting kind of exciting.
Yeah, sign me up. I mean, I think this is exactly what we had hoped that it would be at the end of the
Yeah,
year. And, yet another awesome weekend. And it's just time flies when you're having fun. Only two regular season games left. And especially because it's been like a desert around here for success for so long.
yeah,
I just am in full appreciation mode of everything, this entire process. I found myself late in the game, on the field that last 5 minutes, just looking at the crowd. I mean, you could not fit another body into the east side of Folsom, and it was just awesome, man. Just really cool in a blowout win where you're up
yeah,
25 and
yeah,
it's cold. Nobody's heading for the exits. That's just it's just special. And so you got to make sure you appreciate that. And I'm in full appreciation mode while all the while recognizing how crazy our lives are at the moment in time.
yeah. I haven't thought about this too much, but I was thinking about it as you were talking. That could you imagine, like, if you're an Alabama fan or Alabama, writer, and this is routine,
Yeah.
and not that I'm saying it gets old, but like, could you imagine, like, yeah,
You would take it for granted.
if you okay, I've been covering this team for 15 years, right? If I'd covered Alabama for 15 years, how many Heisman Trophy winners would I have covered?
Good question. Yeah.
It's been a couple, right? A few.
Like
Um,
four at least.
yeah, Derek. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Derek
Henry,
Henry.
Ingram, Tua.
Um,
Is there another
did
one?
Tua win it?
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, did
Maybe.
Tua win it?
Maybe he didn't. Maybe it was
I can't
Devontae
remember.
Smith.
But
Maybe four.
it's been a
Yeah.
lot. There's been a lot of All Americans. There's been a lot of NFL guys. There's been a lot of CFP. I mean, it's a train wreck of a season if you're 12th in the country, at Alabama, and we're celebrating a 16th ranked bus right now. My point is, it's awesome, and that, to your point, we can't take this for granted. This is fun.
Mm-mm.
Uh, I'm sure I'd have a lot of fun covering a really good team, and there's a lot of fans that will listen to that and say, "Yeah, sign me up for that anytime." They would love it, but because it's been not like that here, that makes this
No.
so much more fun, and really a game that, Matt, on Saturday they did not play a great game. I mean, their offense was at times, and then you look down, the offense put up 42 points and 400 yards, I think, against the number one defense in the Big 12. And their defense, like, yeah, they gave up more points than Utah usually scores, but they also had three interceptions, a fumble recovery, four sacks, and they dominated most of the game. So, and then LeJontay Wester gets a punt return, and all in all, in a game they didn't even play their best, they won by 25 points against a team that's bullied them for the last 7 years.
And what's really cool is I think as a fan base, everybody has recognized that now where we can acknowledge, yeah, okay, they didn't play at their best, but it doesn't make us haters. We can say
Yeah,
that's how much room they have to grow this late in the year. That doesn't come around very often. And
yeah,
you're just seeing them week by week by week be able to check off a box in a different way. And that's one thing that I've been talking about now for a couple of weeks. Really good teams can do what they do and kind of stick to their identity, winning consistently. Great teams find different ways to win. And
yeah,
and you're getting a bunch of different contributors here on a week to week basis, and it's just a lot of fun because in so many ways it reminds me a lot of 2016. It
yeah,
does. I think it's as much as it's different, I think it is similar because you have a team that's really grown together. And
mhm,
the more impressive part this year is that it was all microwaved like it was, right? You
yeah,
had so
yeah,
many different pieces. It's like a collage, a hodgepodge, if you will, of all this talent from around the country. And Coach Prime and this coaching staff have done just a fantastic job. And look, this conference is what it is. It's
yeah,
definitely not one of the best conferences in the country as we've gotten on in the season. And they've caught some green lights, but you never apologize for those things.
right,
Every year that happens for one team or another. So, like, yeah, was Utah starting quarterback out, and would it have been different if Cam Rising was playing in that game? Well, sure, it would have been. But you know what?
yeah,
That's football. It happens. So you take it where you can get it. And even still, what we've seen from Colorado at this point, they have proven to me that they're the best team in this conference. They just
yeah.
have to, again, like I said the other week, cross the T and dot the I and finish a job. But as far as I can tell, Brian, there's nothing that's going to stop this team in the Big 12 except for themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. And who wasn't hurt was anybody on their defense. I mean, their defense was pretty healthy, and the Buffs put it to them. So I want to go off something that you said during that was that it seems like every week they check off a new box. What are the new boxes they checked off this week, do you think? To me, one of them was they finally busted something in the return game. Okay, they finally got something going there. LeJohntay Wester, that was a great return. We've been waiting for that all year, whether it was him or Jimmy. They finally got that. So they checked that box. Um, I'm answering my own question before I let you answer. To me, another box they checked was that they dominated in the run game against a really good rushing offense. And I think that that's a box that they keep sort of checking week after week, but I thought they really checked it and made a statement in on their run defense this week. And so to me, those are probably the two new boxes they checked.
Yeah, and well, I think there's a couple of them, right? Like the return game that it was LeJohntay, I think was even better because we've all been waiting for it from him
Yeah,
specifically. He was voted the
right.
preseason All-American punt returner. Like it was him. It was great to see. And obviously, he's going to get the number one jersey as long as he finishes out his academic stuff. Hopefully, that happens this week. But there's a reason why Coach Prime has bestowed him with that honor. He's
Yeah,
him on the field. Now, you just got to make sure you're, again, dotting every I and crossing every tie to be, crossing every T to be him off the field. So,
yeah,
yeah, I love that. And yes, that was important because it felt like it was coming to a degree. Like there's too much talent there not to eventually bust one, in my opinion, especially with the caliber of the players that they have in their coverage units. You expect it at some point. And we talked about them needing to clean up special teams last week. They did a better job with it. It is just what it is. They're limited because of
yeah,
some of the issues that they have. And I think moving forward, those just have to be addressed because you saw what Utah, I don't know if you were paying attention to like the little subtleties of how dialed in their special teams coverage units were. I mean, everybody was like getting down at the same time. They were all on the same page, you could tell. And even though they gave that one up, and they did give one up last week too, that's going to happen. You could just
yeah,
tell like the signs of a really well coached team. I like that you brought that up. And yeah, the running game, Brian. Uh, Bernard held to 1.8 per carry. You know, former
hmm,
interim head coach Mike Sanford tweeted at me during the game saying, "Yeah, but Utah can run well." And I was like, coach,
yeah,
CU's run defense does not get enough credit for what they have been able to do,
hmm,
partially because some of the garbage yards have come late in games. UCF, I think of, Cincinnati, I think of, Texas Tech, I think of. Those numbers look way different because I think they let up just a little bit,
yeah,
at the end of those games, but the production matched what we saw in the field. Bernard couldn't find anything.
right.
Now, they got on top of him so early that they kind of had to abandon that a little bit. But even still, they were on
Hmm,
top of Texas Tech, and Texas Tech ran the football to come back because that's really all they could do against Colorado's defense.
yep,
Colorado totally shut Utah's water off. And yet another week where Robert Livingston's game plan, or at least approach of, we talk about it, the Bill Belichick phrase where want to make the other team play left-handed, take away their best asset. Well,
yep,
without Keithy, without any other quarterback, that's Bernard. And they erased him from the football game. Now,
yeah,
to Bernard's credit, he did, I think, bang his hand up on the first drive of the game, and I think he tried to play through it, which is why Cam Stillman Craig was able to rip a fumble out. I think he definitely wasn't 100%. Either way, they shut him down and the
right.
rest of their running game. So that's part of it. The other box I believe they checked was they finally busted a run. Glory, glory,
That's
hallelujah.
true.
On the
Yeah,
other side, I'll tell you this. I filmed some stuff from up in the crow's nest, and when they hit that run, I was so happy for Isaiah and for them because oh my God, when was the last time they hit a 35-yard plus run? I don't even know when the last time that was as a program. That that was a moment where I even put the
well,
phone down and I smiled.
to be honest, the last one that they had that long was Charlie against Arizona a couple weeks ago, but it was not for a touchdown.
Oh, that's right. At the end of the game.
Yeah,
At the end of the game.
but
Okay.
to bust one for a touchdown,
Yep. I mean, when
right?
was the last time that happened? And we've
Well, I
been
can
talking
tell you.
about.
I can
Oh,
tell you.
I love it. Tell me.
You know me.
I know. That's
That
why.
was okay. That was the longest touchdown run for a Buff since 2018.
What?
Yeah. Do you remember? And I'm gonna bring up a bad game, but I can do it now because it's not jinxing
That's not
anything.
hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you remember the Oregon State debacle,
Right.
the
Yeah.
collapse. Do you remember first play of the third quarter, Trayvon McMillan right up the middle, 75-yard touchdown run?
Yeah. He was probably the last really good back they've had in
So
this
that
program.
that run, the first play of the third quarter of that game in 2018, makes it
Right.
31
The
to 3.
touchdown up the left sideline, right? Is that what you're
I
talking
think it
about?
was right up the middle, but whatever it was a
Okay.
75-yard run, first play of the third quarter. I think it made it 31 to 3. Augusta's was the longest touchdown run for a Buff since that play.
That's unbelievable, man.
So a little bit more than 6 years ago. They just haven't. I mean, we know last year, but even the previous years, like under Darrell and Tucker, things like that, they didn't have running backs that busted big runs. I mean, they couldn't have 25, 30-yard runs the last several years, and so that was a pretty unusual run. You're right. They didn't do a whole lot in the run game besides
Oh,
that,
we
but
got to get to that. Yeah.
yeah, but that was a huge thing to see that. I mean, it was he ran through that. I was like, whoa, wait, he's not going to get tackled. This is a long touchdown run. That's pretty cool.
I was really happy for him and
Yeah,
for them because, that just goes to show that we've been saying that, look, this is the guy. And,
yeah,
I mean, we can get into all the running game if you want to, but as far as other boxes that I felt like they checked off, gosh, just I would say stacking performances defensively with the consistency that they have, to
yeah,
me, is checking off another box because their defense is for real. It's for real, for real. And no, they have not come up against any offenses that I would consider to be, even close to their own yet,
yeah,
quite
yeah.
frankly. And if they keep winning, we're going to see that. And they will see a more high powered offense this weekend, I believe, in Kansas. That being said, their defense has been really good. And you just have to give credit to everybody. It's a veteran team.
Hmm.
And that's where I really see the similarities in 2016. I told
Yeah,
you my hot take was by the end of the year, they would be relying on that unit more than offensively. And that unit has come through and they're adjusting quickly. They're getting other teams off the field. They're stopping the run. They're turning you over. What more could you want?
yeah. I think the biggest surprise out of that whole game was okay. Isaac Wilson's not good right now, right? He's a true freshman. We'll see what
Right.
he is in a few years. He had some, we talk about like next level throws by quarterbacks. We saw some throws by Isaac Wilson that were below his level, the other day. I think one of the more surprising things to me was that he was the quarterback that finally beat Travis Hunter for a touchdown with really a next level throw. I mean, that was a beautiful throw that he had to Dorian Singer, who Singer had not scored all year. So somehow Isaac Wilson and Dorian Singer are the first ones to beat Travis Hunter. And, Hunter, again, solid coverage on that play. But for those two to be the first two to beat him, I was like, really? It couldn't have been like, Cam Rising, it couldn't have been, a quarterback that you look at and say, wow, yeah, he's legit. That was surprising to me.
Yeah, for sure. That was a moment where you had to make something happen. So hey, give
Right,
your best receiver a
right.
shot in man coverage, and he threw it up there. And I think Travis, I haven't seen the all 22 of it yet. The broadcast, I couldn't quite see how Travis started that, but it looked like at some point he might have slipped. He slipped a couple of times. I don't know if that has anything to do with all the new cleats all the time. I have no idea,
Yeah,
but I do wonder if that has something to do with it. There were a couple of times where I did think that he slipped the other day. That
yeah,
being said, I mean, he still recovered and his closing speed, he was right there.
yeah,
So for that being the first touchdown that he gave up all year, yeah, I was like, oh wow. But also, okay, that's one. All right, you
right,
got one. Now do it
right.
again. Bet you won't. So
Yeah,
yeah, look, I actually thought Isaac Wilson played better in the second half. He definitely settled in a little bit, in my opinion.
I actually, I'm curious to see what he's going to look like in a couple years because I think there's some skill there. He's a true freshman right now and struggling a little bit. But the other thing, I'm going to go a little off topic here, but since we're talking about Travis, how dumb was that argument coming out of Boise the other day?
Oh, oh
Uh,
my God.
okay, for those that didn't see it, I'm not going to mention the name of the other reporter, but there were others that pointed it out to other reporters. It almost seemed like it was talked about in their press box.
It's
Okay, they
only coming out of Boise, Idaho. I just want to make
right,
sure
right, right.
before we get
Yes,
into this, it's not
yeah,
a countrywide thing. This is
yeah,
about Boise, Idaho.
yeah. So anyway, they pointed out that their cornerback, and I can't remember his name, had 11 tackles.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's a good player though. I will say this. Now,
Sure
from
he
what I
is.
looked up, yeah. Anyway, but I'm blanking on his name right now. But they pointed out that this kid had 11 tackles, a game high, 11 tackles the other night against San Jose State, the most tackles by a Boise cornerback since like 2005. And then he points out a certain cornerback at Colorado has 23 tackles all year, but hey, he plays a lot of snaps. So, all right, first thing here, Matt,
Hmm.
I go to Pro Football Focus, right? And I look at Boise's game against San Jose State.
Hmm.
And that corner who had 11 tackles, and credit to him, 11 tackles is nice, also gave up 10 catches for over 100 yards. So yes, he's going to have tackles because his guy caught the ball.
Did you say
Right?
10 catches?
I
Okay.
think it was 10. It was something like
Oh,
that.
10, 10. Okay. Okay.
Whatever it was, he gave up over 100 yards receiving in that game.
Mm, mm. At least
So
I'd imagine that if you've given up 10 catches, you're probably, having 10 tackles unless you're burnt
yeah,
toast. And if the
yeah,
guy's any good, then hopefully he's at least wrapping his guy up after he blows the coverage.
right. So
So,
so
yeah,
then I
Boise,
point
Idaho,
out,
full of, yeah.
yeah. So then I point out to this guy, like, well, for some context, Travis has been targeted 33 times all season. He has 23 tackles, 8 pass defense, and 3 interceptions. That's pretty darn good. So then people come back and say, well, are you saying he can only make a tackle if he's targeted? Well, if you watch Colorado's defense, pretty much, right? Because if you play one on one, Travis isn't going to make a tackle when DJ McKinney's man is targeted on the other side. And this run defense that we're just talking about, making all these plays in the run game, Travis doesn't have an opportunity to make a tackle there because Levanta Bentley, Nikai Hill Green, Amari McNeil the last few weeks, they're making the tackles. So it was funny. That guy got blasted, by the way. I mean, he was just getting killed, especially by Colorado people. But
And he's
and
not alone, by the
he's not
way.
alone. Yeah,
Today there were more. It just look. We don't need to talk about that anymore. They're idiots up
it
in
was just
Boise.
funny to me.
That's what you need to
Right?
understand, okay?
Yeah,
And they look. They're riding for their guy Genty, and we
yeah,
understand that.
yeah.
And look, they're gonna make the college football playoff most likely, unless they lose. And so look, let them have their little season that's
Right.
going to end up one of the best in school history. They'll be out in
Mhm.
the first round of the college football playoff, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I
Yeah,
mean, like my point is that Travis is now minus 500 to win the Heisman at a lot of sports books. This
yeah,
thing, in the words of Kenny Smith, is over, baby.
yeah,
It's over as
yeah.
long as Travis doesn't get hurt. And I heard somebody the other day say, well, as long as they keep winning. Why? What does it matter now with the
Right.
numbers what does it matter if Colorado that has gotten now to 8 wins has to get to 10 for the Heisman? You should not have that Heisman vote, my friends.
Right.
Travis will
Right.
still be producing. Like, let's stop with the insanity. This
Yeah.
is over. It's
Yeah.
over.
It's over. Unless he gets hurt. But yeah, and I'm not going to put the Boise State down. They're a really good football team and
Exactly.
all that. But the bigger thing was it was really surprising to me to see reporters come out and really use tackles as a stat to measure corners. Like if
AP
that,
voters,
yeah,
AP voters, not
yeah,
just reporters,
yeah,
guys who have distinction. Okay.
right, right,
And that's where my biggest issue is with it. And you and I talk privately. You and I never go at like other people for some takes that they have. This one was so beyond dumb that we
yeah,
could not help ourselves. And
right,
quite frankly, if you're going after Travis, what are you watching? What don't you like about Travis Hunter? This might be the most likable person I have ever covered.
yeah,
So to me, there's two things that are happening. One, you're exposing yourself that you really don't know what you're talking about. And two, you
yeah,
haven't been paying attention, because if you were, you wouldn't be saying that. So
yeah.
I don't need to be paying attention to you. We can move on.
And if they're really, what it tells me is they're not watching Colorado, because if you watch them play,
That's literally what I'm saying.
you
Yes.
you understand how they play defense and why Travis Hunter would not have more than 23 tackles at this point. Which, by the way, another thing I looked up, um, he's averaging like 2.9 tackles a game. I'm taking out K-State and Arizona when he didn't play defense. So 2.9 tackles, right? Um, there are other corners. Oh my gosh, Patrick Peterson. Okay, the year he wins the Thorpe,
Yeah.
2.9 tackles per game.
I mean, tackling.
So
Let's
yeah,
stop. Let's stop the. I don't even want to justify that conversation.
right.
It's so dumb.
Yeah,
That's why I'm saying it was so stupid that I didn't
yeah,
even want to. You, being the wonderful journalist you are, hit him over the head and dunked on him with the numbers. I was just like, that's so stupid. It's not even worth my time, man. Like,
right.
why would you even think that that's smart to put out there?
Yeah,
And you have an AP vote. That's probably one of the problems with how we do things in college football. I mean,
Yeah.
you are wonderful. You do your research. You are objective. There are clearly many people who are
Yeah.
not and don't deserve to have that. And so I think that's why it's upsetting, is because it's like, if Genty really deserved it, you would be voting for him, Brian.
Yeah.
I know you. You would vote for him if
Yeah.
he deserved it.
Yeah.
Sorry, he doesn't deserve it. Did you see the numbers? Like, yeah, at the beginning of the season, he was on pace to break Barry Sanders' all-time record. Okay, he was.
Yeah.
He's not even close now. He's
Yeah.
not even close now. It's not going to happen. We have seen Mountain West running backs have better years than he has had and not be voted. You want to
Yeah.
know the last time a Heisman was given to a program that is not within the current construct of the Power Four? How about 1963?
Really?
It's over.
Yeah.
Rover.
It is over. The only other question with the Heisman would be, whether Shador is going to make it to New York as a finalist.
I don't think
And I
he's
know
going to. I hate to
now,
say it. He should, but I don't think he will.
if you look at the odds, I said this last week. I think it was last week. The odds are who's going to win it, and that's why Shador's odds are not very good, because he's not going to win it. We know that, right? And so his odds of winning are not very good. But what I would love to see, and I don't know if it's anywhere. What are the odds of him being a finalist in New York? Um, I said this last week too. I think it was with you. The unfortunate thing is, when we're voting for the Heisman, and I've had a Heisman vote for a number of years, we put our top three, and so it's tough. I wish there was five. I wish we had five spots, because then I think Shador is there for sure. I'm not sure if he gets there with a top three, because I don't even know if I would put him in my top three right now.
He'd be in
But
my top three.
what do you mean in your top three?
Yeah, he would. I'd have it Travis, Ashton, Shador. I would. I'd put him over Cam, and I'd put him over Dylan for my. And here's why. Again, Dylan didn't play well, and they beat Wisconsin. They beat him on the road, and they've got him undefeated. I respect that,
Yeah,
but to ignore what Shador has to endure to get Colorado to this point and be damn near as flawless as he has been. That's why it looked, by the way, to everybody out there watching, that he had a decent, like a mediocre game by his standards, is because he's almost perfect every single
yeah,
weekend while still dealing with some of the most pressure in the country. Utah was all over him, oh, by the way, because their receivers and their tight ends did a terrible job blocking in this game by and large, especially
yeah,
on a lot of those screens. Like, there was a lot of execution mistakes, and credit Utah, because that was the number one defense in the Big 12. As you mentioned, they were back
mhm,
to healthy. A lot of people haven't been giving Colorado credit that, okay, maybe they didn't have their A game, but Utah wasn't really missing dudes on that side of the football.
yeah.
So I even saw the on three had Tyler Warren, Penn State's tight end, ahead of him, which to me, and again, on three is on three. We all have our feelings about them. They're
Right.
a little slow to the party and just about everything. Now, that
Yeah,
being said, it's ignorant to do that. And I think that's why we have such a big problem with it. Even Rick George broke his silence on it today on social media and said, How? How is that
yeah,
possible? And
yeah,
for me, look, Cam Ward is a hell of a player. If Cam or Dylan were there over Shador, I would understand it. I just, for what Shador has to go through every week to get this team to where they are, because look, it's not like he can miss a bunch of plays and they can still win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they're winning in large part because they're plays he has to make. Maybe not
yeah.
this last weekend, but every single week. Like, they're not getting it done
Right,
consistently enough in the running game. That's
right.
not the case at Miami. That's not the case at Oregon. So for me, it's clear. But again, I think there are other factors here at play. And look, as you brought up many, many times, it's best team's best quarterback, right? So they're going to go with the guy with the fewest losses.
And for me personally, as a voter, I would have a really hard time putting two of the top three players from a 10-2 team and from a two-loss team. You know,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
do I
I
think
get it.
Should I think Shador is better than these other guys? Yes, but again, I think, yeah, Dylan didn't play well at Wisconsin. Shador didn't play very well at all in Nebraska and lost the game. So and I hate these arguments, because you're always kind of, you always have to kind of put one person down to lift another one up, and I'm not trying to lift anybody up.
Well,
And
that's
I'm
what
not
we're doing. That's the
and I'm
nature of
yeah,
this
and
conversation.
I'm not at all trying to push the door down. When it comes to that third spot for me, it's totally splitting hairs. And for me, it probably comes down to you know, does Dylan Gabriel have did he win all of his games versus Shador? Probably. So that's probably where it comes down to. And, Cam Ward's got to be up there too. What Cam Ward has done at Miami, even though they lost the last time out, what he's done at Miami has been phenomenal too. Yeah. Shador, I hope he gets to New York.
He won't, but I just think at this point
Yeah.
it's clear if coming off of that game he didn't pass Curtis Rourke, Indiana's quarterback, and he didn't
Yeah.
pass Ward or even Gabriel, he's not going to be there. He'll be there, but he won't be there. And
But
Travis,
again, I but again, the odds are who's going to win it.
I we know why. No,
We
I think
know,
we get it.
but I'm saying like Shador has worse odds today than he had last week, and to me that makes total sense because what Travis did was enhance his standing in that, which means Shador is not going to win it, and so
Yeah,
the odds are to win it, and so it makes sense to me that he's down there. Um, but we'll see if people put him up high enough where he gets enough votes where he's in there. You know, we only have 3 spots, but there's sometimes 4 or 5 guys that are voted in, so he might be one of those guys. And hey, just because I don't have Shador in my top 3 now doesn't mean I won't in 3 weeks or whatever when the votes do. So Shador, there's some room there to where I mean, if he goes out and balls out the next 2 weeks and then leads him to the Big 12 title, and he's phenomenal in that game, that might change the mind.
and
So
Travis doesn't produce. Is that what I mean? That would
no,
be the only
not for
reason
winning it,
why.
not for winning it. I'm saying Travis has won, right? I'm saying I'm talking about for my 3rd spot on my ballot
Okay.
for getting for Shador getting to New York. There's no way Shador's winning the trophy, but for him to be in New York, I think these next 3 weeks are going to be pretty big for him.
Would you
Not
vote for?
not just for me, but for a lot of voters. I think that'd be big.
So you would vote for right now? You would vote for Ward or Gabriel over him for that 3rd spot?
Probably, but
Okay. Hey,
probably
it's your opinion. I'm not. I'm
probably
not.
Gabriel because of what he's doing for the number 1 team in the country.
And he honestly, if we look back at his career, he really struggled at Oklahoma at times. And so
Mhm.
for the fact that, they're doing what they're doing and he has bounced back, but it's not because of him. And I think if it's the best player in college football, he can't hold Shador's jock. Dylan Gabriel's going to be
Yeah,
at the car wash and Shador's
right.
going to be the number 1 overall pick. Like, let's not, I mean, he'll be in the CFL is kind of what I'm
Yeah,
saying. So I just want to make sure that for this award, I don't want to operate by just because of the losses. It's best
yeah.
player.
And
And to
and by
me,
the way,
Shador's the best player
I haven't
outside
decided.
of
I have
Travis.
not decided my
I
ballot
know.
at all.
I
But
yeah.
I mean, honestly, as I don't even know who my third would be. It might be Cam. I mean, what I think Cam has had a bigger impact on Miami than Dylan's had on Oregon.
Agreed.
And
Agreed
so in
completely.
that regard, it might be Cam, you know.
Hey, if you have Shador in your top 5, I'm good with it. I just the
Oh,
ones
he's
that are
absolutely
putting him,
top 5. I mean,
but
to me,
the
it's almost
odds wise he's not, which is crazy. Which
right.
is crazy to
Yeah.
me. That is
Yeah.
a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah. It is. But again, I look at it and say, well, but the odds are to win it. He's not going to do that. But um,
If you
yeah,
got
I
him
don't know.
top 5, you're good with me as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
Oh, he's absolutely top 5. I mean,
Yeah. So I
you
don't
know,
have a problem. I don't have a problem.
the
That's
great
I
thing
just
is
yeah, I don't have a problem.
the great thing is, I mean, you look around, there's a lot of guys in a lot of years would be like, oh yeah, that guy's deserving. I mean, Curtis Rourke, he's absolutely deserving of being mentioned.
Yo, for sure.
Jalen
Mentioned, yeah.
Milrow, is absolutely
Mentioned,
deserving of being mentioned. So
considered and mentioned are different.
right, right. But yeah, for Shador to be in the area of like Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, like
What do we do? What do we do? Like, what
what,
are we doing here?
like what's that about?
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, I guess the bottom line is to me that 3rd spot is probably going to come down to Cam, Dylan, and Shador.
Yeah.
And I think the next few weeks are going to determine that for me. And
Well, Travis is winning it. So that's what
right,
really
yeah,
matters. And
right,
Shador's going to be there anyway. And Travis said the first thing that he does when he wins a Heisman, he's going to do this
yeah,
out of respect for the guy who
right,
helped him win it. So I
right,
think I think at the end of the day, everybody's going to get what they needed to out of this
yeah.
entire experience.
Well, and guess what? Whether he's invited there or not, Shador is going to be one of the biggest stars at that ceremony. So we know that for sure.
Like Eminem said, if you don't let us in through the front, we'll come through the side.
Right. And he'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah.
will be there.
Well, he's going to come through the front with the guy
That's
who
right.
was
We're
invited.
right behind him.
Right
Anyway,
behind him.
I do wanna there's a couple things from the game itself that I
Yeah.
was curious to get your take on,
Okay.
only because Look, I mean, we've been talking about it. They scored 49 points and 90 in the last 2 weeks, yet are
Yeah,
5 of 24 on third down. And obviously, I asked Coach Prime about that. They have not run the football well at all the last 2 weeks, and they've gotten
yeah,
away from it. I have a couple of thoughts there for you. You curious?
yeah.
Dallin Hayden might not touch the football again if I were coaching. It's nothing against Dallin, great young man. It's not working. I think it's pretty clear. Charlie would be getting the carries above Dallin for me, and you know who else would be is Isaiah Harge. Isaiah Harge showed us in the spring game that he can do that a little bit. He showed us in the Wildcat he can do that a
Mhm.
little bit. He is way more explosive than Dallin Hayden. Dallin Hayden had ample opportunities. We
Yeah,
saw one or two or maybe three flashes, but let's be real. He had a lot of space on those three plays, two
yeah,
swing routes and one run. It's not working. Okay.
yeah,
Charlie, in his jump cut to me, was more dangerous than anything Dallin has done in a couple of
yeah.
weeks. And there was one pass block where Dallin literally went and blocked Phillip Houston. I don't know. It wasn't like he got pushed into him. He went and he blocked him.
Yeah,
It was just like it's just not working right now. It's
yeah.
not. I don't think it's going to be working in the future. Let's move on because the more touches he gets, that's the fewer Isaiah gets, and that's a problem. Unless there's something
Well,
going on with the finger with Isaiah for me,
right.
and I know Isaiah had a holding, and I know he's missed some plays. There's just way more value to him out there, in my opinion,
Yeah.
as is Charlie, quite frankly, than Dallin at this stage.
And I would add Draylon Miller to that
Sure,
list, a guy that I like to see.
sure.
But the other thing too is I don't know how close he is, but I'd love to see Micah Welch back in the mix at some point because we saw a little bit out of him before he got injured too. So I'd love to see him as well. But yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
Crazy question. Little experimental redshirting with Brandon Hood. What we saw out of
yeah,
him in the one open practice, I mean, he's physical. I don't know why, unless he's just so not ready for the moment, and maybe that's the case.
yeah,
But I'd be looking to exhaust all options at this point because it's not working. It feels like, all right, well, it's like a 2 yard carry with Dallin. I don't know what to say.
right.
He's not hitting it well, and in my opinion, that is not the standard that they have said they are upholding.
Yeah,
Every other guy who's run that ineffectively has gotten sat down. And I know that they don't have a lot of other options, but the one thing this coaching staff is willing to do is get creative with it. Now's
yeah,
the time. Now's the time to refine it all. These are the
yeah,
details, and it's nothing against Dallin. I want to say that, okay? It's just not working.
yeah.
Just not.
Frankly, I'd be surprised if a Hood brother is not ready for the moment.
He
And
looked damn good to me in the open
yeah,
practice. I think
I think
conditioning has been a problem, but
yeah,
I
maybe
would give it a shot.
I'd give it a shot with him as well. I love Isaiah. I liked what I saw on the one run Charlie had, and it'd be nice to see more of that. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd rather see more of Charlie right now than Dallin. And if that
Sorry.
doesn't work, okay, but I'd at least rather see that right now
And I thought
because
Charlie was the best at pass blocking.
yeah,
So, like, wasn't that the case? Wasn't that what we were told? So,
right,
if
yeah,
that's the case, then you should have no problem getting him back in there in some of those situations.
right,
Look, it's the end of the road here for Charlie. Dallin's got some time left. Charlie is what the guy that I saw sitting in front of us the other day. I bet you, now that he's been on the bench for a few weeks, why don't you give him a couple touches? Just see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
Just see what happens.
yeah,
Maybe not
yeah,
on a 4th and 1, right? Like maybe like maybe not on a 4th and 1 out of the shotgun out of 10 personnel like you were doing.
yeah,
But where is the pistol? Where is the pre-snap motion? I think that
right,
is some of the frustration. They tried, and again, the Savell Small is maybe his worst game of the year, in my opinion. Like he didn't block as well when I went
yeah,
back and watched as I would have hoped that he did. I know it's a work in progress for him. He can be better, but they need them to be better. That's how they run the football well.
right,
And against Utah, I know it's Utah, but they busted like this the first play of the second drive after Shador threw the interception. They hold him to a field goal. They come back. That's like an Isaiah 15-yard carry. And then
yeah,
later in that drive, he had like another 7-yard carry where he broke some tackles. But how many touches did he have the whole game? 7?
yeah. I don't know what it is, but
It was not good. It was not
yeah,
enough. And
yeah,
and so for me, that's part of the reason why you're not winning on third down. And it's a part of it. That's really important that we talk about this because it's not going to bite you against an offense as bad as Utah. But when you do get to the college football playoff, this team is too good to let bad habits
Yeah.
kind of influence them late in the year because it
Right.
could stop you from beating a good team because Colorado's proving themselves to be one of the best teams in the country. Oh,
Well,
by the way.
and before you get to college football playoff, it could bite you this week. I mean, Kansas is an offense that is better than what you faced this last week, and so that's a team that you need some third down conversions probably this week. And I was texting you last night. I was like, because that was a great stat you brought up to Coach Prime. They've had 11 scoring drives the last 2 weeks, 7 of them without converting a third down, which is insane.
Insane.
And you're like, yeah, well, they're explosive. And you're right. There's like the one that Isaiah scores on, that's a first down. That was a one play drive, right? So, yes, but there were sustained drives where they did not convert a third down.
It's because they're winning on first and second
Right,
down. That's
right.
why. It's
And
because the quick game is
right.
working. It's what did I tell you? And this is one thing I want to make sure we bring up too. The bunch, the tights, when they got into that was when they
Yeah.
moved the ball the best all game. They
Yeah.
they keep everybody tight and they attack space. Platt
Yeah.
on the broadcast early in the game was like, well, Colorado wants to spread to the boundary because Utah wants to make you play in a phone booth.
Yeah.
Screw that. Make them play in the phone booth with
Yeah.
you. That's what you
Yeah.
do the best. There's a
Right.
little bit more of that attitude that I'd like to see out of Colorado. I really don't care if we think you're going to be ready for what we do best.
Yeah.
Stop it. And then if you
Yeah.
do, we'll adjust.
Yeah.
Kind
Which
of
is
my
what
opinion.
which is kind of what they've done a lot of the year. But yeah, there's some things they got to clean up for sure. And it's crazy that we're sitting here after 90 points in 2 weeks and saying that offense has got to be better, but that's the reality of it. And, they're, but it's also one of those things, Matt, that as this team gets better and as the stakes get higher, this is when the nitpicking comes in on some of those things that while it works in a lot of weeks, they got to get better at it if they really want to be at their best. And I promise you, these are the same things that they're talking about in the building because they're saying the same thing like, yeah, that's great. You're 8-2, but you better fix this because this isn't happening.
Literally, Coach Prime and Shador, what were the first two things they said?
We got, yeah,
We gotta be better.
we
Coach
got to be
Prime
better.
was like, oh, let's see, what does Shador have? Oh God. Oh, maybe I was too hard on him. No, he
Yeah,
wasn't, because
yeah,
that's the standard here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and this is something that I dealt with in some of the comments in my post game recap. Not a lot, because a lot of you out there understand what we're talking about.
yeah,
The fact that we can nitpick like this is the biggest compliment that you and I could possibly give them at this time of a year. Because a
yeah,
team that you and I didn't think was worth a damn or just lucky to be getting by, we would be like, oh, you didn't run the football? Well, who cares? You won.
yeah,
No, 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 no. This team is capable of so much more. So clean it up so you can maybe realize that
right.
potential at the end of the year.
Because there's, right.
That's to me the biggest compliment you could possibly give. And so I want to make sure that some people who are out there go, oh man, you guys are being too nitpicky, you're too critical, because I got some of this. Understand it's because they're capable of so
Right.
much that we're there. It's a compliment. It's not a criticism. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're so grateful to be in this position that we can have these conversations
Yeah.
again. That is all a credit to the program. So don't misconstrue when we say, they need to be this. It's because when you get to the finish line, your
Yeah.
weaknesses show up in the postseason, and they've got to just fine tune
Right.
here. I mean,
Well, honestly, it's a few weeks ago. One of the narratives coming out of Ohio State was they were having some offensive line issues, right? Their offensive line was not getting it done. They weren't running the ball, and and I remember kind of laughing. We were on the road somewhere, and they're talking about that, and it's true with Ohio State. But I was kind of laughing, like thinking, man, give that offensive line to Colorado, and they're going to plow through everybody. That's a really good offensive line, but by Ohio State standards and what Ohio State expects, it needed to be better, and they've gotten better. That's the same vein that we're talking about here with Colorado. Is like, okay, now you're at this level that, yeah, you're doing this, but you better be better at this going forward. And to your point, there's teams that we've covered in the past, or there's teams around the country. You say, well, they can't run the ball, and there's no reason you can sit there and say, well, they need to fix this and this. It's just that they're not good, and they're not going to be able to do it. This team is good, and
they
at
can
eight,
do it,
and they can't do it. So I think the point you and I are both making is they're 8-2 and playing really good, and not even playing to their potential.
And Coach Prime says so. So don't get angry with us.
Right.
He agrees. Okay.
Right.
So I don't want to
But
see any of that.
That's what's the great thing about this team is that they're not even playing to their full potential yet. And I think they're
100%.
getting there. I think they're getting there. They are closer to their full potential right now than they were what is today, November 18th. they're closer now than they were on October 18th, right?
And this is all a credit to them and
Right.
what they have accomplished.
Yeah.
And that's why you and I are even able to go there, is
Right.
because they have assembled what is a just they're almost a great team. They're like
Yeah.
right there. They're really damn good. They're almost there. You go take care of Kansas, and they're not going to overlook Kansas. I actually kind of like that you had a little bit of a lackluster performance because there's zero chance that these guys will not be dialed in when you can point to the first half because
Right.
everybody knows how much meat was
Yeah.
left on the bone. Everybody knows they should have 60 burgered Utah. They should
Yeah.
have put up 60 on them. They really should have. Now, Utah may have done that with a better quarterback. In my opinion, there should have been at least 2 more touchdown drives, gets you to 60 points. Just my opinion. Shador doesn't throw that terrible interception, maybe a field goal. Call it 10 points. You'll call it 10 points, they get the 59 on him. Fine. Here's my
Yeah. I
whatever.
I
My
think
point is this: you could disagree with me. They should have 60 burgered him.
I
They
disagree
they
with you.
left. That's fine. They left so I don't care. They left so much on the field that to me, I go, yeah, okay. If Shador doesn't drop a snap, does he normally drop a snap?
Right.
No. Does
Sure,
Shador
there's
normally
that.
throw a bad pass?
Yes,
No.
I get what you're saying, but that's also a really, really darn good Utah defense.
Yeah.
And
They should have
I'm not
60
going to say
burgered
you
him.
should have because you
Should
have to
have.
give Utah credit for what they did, and Utah had nothing to do with Shador dropping the snap, but they had a lot to do with some of the other struggles that CU had on offense early in that
Yeah.
game. So yeah, I give Utah credit, and so but yeah, this Buffs team, there's more out there. Is the point? Is they've got room to grow, and when you watch the well off videos, who's the first person to point that out? It's Coach Prime when he walks in those meetings and he says, "You guys are, you think you're all that, but guess what? You didn't do this and you didn't do that." And you could kind of laugh. Shador was kind of laughing about this, after the game, and they had the luxury of doing that. But on the play that Travis scores, Shador messed it up. Right? He slips and falls because he was supposed to catch that ball. So they weren't perfect, and so there's always things out there, you know. For all the good Travis did, I guarantee you what they're talking about is that touchdown he gave up and saying, well, you didn't do this. And the week before that, they're saying, yeah, but remember those two balls you dropped? So Coach Prime is pointing these things out. And so there's a lot more out there. That's what's exciting about this team, in my opinion, going forward, is that if they check more boxes going forward, Matt, and if they're even better next week, look out. And if they're better the week after that, the week after that, look out.
I'm with you, buddy. The opportunities are right there for them. And that's why you just, and Coach Prime, I was surprised. I can't even remember who asked it, but, ask a better question. Somebody in the presser was like, can you even let yourself reflect? It's like, what are you talking about? Why? Yeah, let me sit here at 8-2 and really just sit back and relax. It's like, no, I'll be in the film room later tonight watching Kansas and BYU. What are you talking about? Everything is
Right.
out in front of us here. We haven't done anything yet, which is the mentality of elite competitor, right? And that's why we're
Yeah.
so fortunate to have that here because he gets it. The coaching staff gets it. And now that they have a like-minded group of players who are all bought in, yeah, okay, they've got things to clean up. Every football team does. That's not
Right.
what we're saying. It's just that Colorado has a chance to do something really special and shock a lot of people here in a couple of weeks, maybe a month's time. And man, if you could find a way to get some of this stuff cleaned up, here's what I know about Colorado if they make the college football playoff. I don't care who they play, they have the best two players on the field.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
Period. When you do, you have a shot in every game. So it is absolutely worth it to uncover every stone to try and get better at every
Yeah.
last
I
single place you can think of because these opportunities, even if Coach Prime sticks here and builds a powerhouse, with what they have right now, you have the pieces you need to win if everyone stays healthy. And I
yeah.
don't know how far it can get you. Okay, I don't. But you deserve to give yourselves the best chance at making
Right.
the deepest run possible by doing everything you can, and they are, which is what a lucky position we are
Right.
as a fan base here in Boulder and covering the program to be around. You just don't see it very often. You don't.
Yeah, I was on a national radio show Sunday morning, and they asked me if Colorado gets in the playoff, can they make noise? And I said, well, it obviously depends on the matchup, but yes, I think they can. I said I do think that any team with that's really really stout in the trenches, Colorado's going to have some trouble with. I said, but the fact that they have Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders, I
I give
think
him a puncher's chance
I give them
against
a puncher's chance
anybody.
against anybody, and they absolutely have that ability. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the future. Let's go. Let's look to the future real quick, Matt. They got Kansas this week. I honestly haven't thought a ton about this game, but I did watch Kansas play. Most of that game against BYU the other day. What do you think about this one coming up this week in Arrowhead?
Well, look, I mean, this is a Kansas team that you and I specifically, and everybody who covers Big 12 football had near the top of the conference
Yep.
when
Hmm.
preseason. And Jalen, they won 9 games last year. Okay, this is a program that just gave Lance Leipold an extension because he's earned every last part of it.
Yep.
Coach Prime, I thought it was interesting. I didn't realize Coach Prime had a relationship with him. Maybe there's a missing connection that I don't know about there. But he talked about how he and Coach Leipold have been, exchanging text messages and words of encouragement and piece of advice, which I thought was pretty cool because I've got tons of respect for that program. In many ways, Kansas football is the only program in the country that understands where Colorado football and the depths
Yep.
of it have been.
Hmm.
And so the job he's done there, this was supposed to be their CU season, like the season
Yeah.
that the Buffs are having, that was supposed to be the season Kansas is having.
Yeah.
And due to injury and other things, it didn't, and just bad luck in one score games. They're not in that position. Colorado is. And now they're back in position to make a bowl game and
Right.
extend their college careers a little bit. And they're playing the best football of the season. They just
Hmm.
went to Provo, which is not an easy place to play, and knocked off a top 6 team in the country. Okay. That's a
Yep.
real accomplishment. What do they have, back-to-back wins over top 25 programs? Is
That's the
that
thing
the
is they did that 1 week after beating Iowa State, who was top 20 at the time. And the week before that, they were in Manhattan, and it took a last second field goal or a last minute field goal by Kansas State to knock off KU. So they've almost got 3 ranked wins in a row.
And so I think this is obviously not a game that Colorado will be overlooking. They know
Right.
that. The
Yeah.
key here is not letting Jalen Daniels, their quarterback, get started early. I would
Yeah.
say, as far as passing quarterbacks, from what I've seen, I think he might be the second best to Shador as far as the thrower of the football. Now, there's a couple of shaky ones in there every now and again.
Yeah.
Maybe Hoover down at TCU, but I haven't been blown away with the quarterback play in this conference. And Daniels is a guy that last year, I mean, extremely impressive when he was healthy. So they've got Luke Grimm, who I think is a really good receiver. They're going to be running him on drags and crossers and attacking
Yeah.
safeties all day long. They've got 2 really good backs with Neal and Highshaw. Both those guys can run the football. They like to get them involved in the passing game a little bit.
Yep.
Skinner's a good receiver. I believe Lawrence Arnold was their top receiver that is questionable to play this weekend. I just did a pod with a Kansas guy last night, actually, who said that there's talk around the program that he might not go. So if
Okay.
that's the case, we'll see what happens. The point is this: you just can't let that offense get rolling early. Otherwise, you are in for a shootout, I think, because they have the capability to do that. Now, that being said, I'm not going to be like some of these other people you hear going, okay, I mean, watch out. I know it's what is it, 2.5 point line? Colorado it should not be in a 2.5 point line. It should be at
Yeah.
least 5 to me, 5.5 minimum. That being said, this is where Vegas sees it. You've got a red hot Kansas team at home, an opportunity still to clinch bowl eligibility and play spoiler. Colorado has to start fast. They have to start fast. It's a Kansas pass rush that if you let them, if you sit in passing situations all game, they have been able to affect quarterbacks and cause
Yeah.
pressure this year. So for me, it's all about, hey, we got to run a football this week. We got to get back to the quick game. What makes us good? The slants, the drags, the crossers, just chunk away. Scalpel, not a hammer. That didn't set in against Utah, which is a little disappointing to me. Some of the route concepts were way too far down the field consistently. Let's just get
Yeah.
the ball out and go. I mean, for the love, we don't need to be looking for home runs every play. This offense is too good to have to rely on that. Anyway, so sorry, that just bothered me last week. My point is this: I got Colorado here, and I got Colorado convincingly in yet another statement win. But I will say one thing: there has been this little inkling in my intuition that they will get tested before the season is over in a way that we didn't anticipate. So if you're not ready for anything, you can get beat by anybody this time of year. I don't care who you are. So I got Colorado. And again, where everybody, Adam and Brian, when I say everybody, told me all week, no way Utah's defense could give up 45 points. Folks, this is all I heard from them. He may not admit it, but Adam and Brian all week. Adam was worse than you. Adam was like, no chance. I was like, I will stand out here on the island. I told you last week. They blew them out. Now I don't know that they're going to blow them out convincingly
Now,
this
come on,
weekend
Matt,
like
real
that.
quick. Let's be honest. Their offense giving CU a couple turnovers late in the game
Mm-hmm.
helped pad that and get to that point,
What was the
a
final
point
score?
total. I know what the final score is. I'm just
Okay.
saying,
Mm-hmm.
that their offense handed a
Uh-huh.
few of those points to
Uh-huh.
Colorado, and Colorado's special teams got 7 of them.
Sure.
But
Sure,
sure,
sure, sure,
congrats,
sure,
take
sure,
your
sure,
win.
sure, sure. I'm going to
You
take
win.
my win. I'm going to take my victory lap. I'm
What's
not
your
on the
score?
radio.
What's your score pick for this
I'm
week?
not on the radio anymore, Brian. I can't victory lap like I used to. So at least give me 1 week.
All
And I
right,
told you I don't
Nostradamus,
care
what's your
about
pick for this
predictions.
week?
Give me Colorado. I'll take Colorado 41, Kansas 27.
Okay.
Texas Tech score.
All right.
Maybe I'm wrong there. It might even be
I
worse because I believe in the Buffs, guys. I don't know what to tell you.
I think this is the game they get that test.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a really difficult game for the Buffs. I think they're going to win it, but I don't think this is going to be easy. I mean, they've won now 4 in a row by 11 points. The last time, Matt, I tweeted this out this morning. The last time they beat 4 conference opponents in a row by 11 plus points, 1989.
Mm.
That was the team that some might say it was the best in CU history. They went undefeated and lost that Orange Bowl to Notre Dame, but that was an unbelievable team. The last time they beat 4 anybody, including a non-conference game, was 94 by 11 points plus. That was another team that you would say is one of the best in CU history. Some would say that's the best one in CU
Right.
history. Guess what else they did in 94? They had a Heisman Trophy winner.
Mm.
So, but that was the last team, CU, last time CU beat 4 teams in a row by 11 plus points. Um, this team is rolling along, but I think Kansas, honestly, over the last month, it might be CU and Kansas are the best teams in the Big 12 over the last month. You got to throw Arizona State in there as well. I think this will be a tough one. I'm going to go Colorado 31, Kansas 28.
Okay. Look, I don't think you're wrong to say that. I kind of thought 35-27 while you were talking. The other thing I didn't bring up is Mello Dotson and Kobe Bryant on the outside are 2 NFL guys. High round draft picks at corner,
Yeah.
Kansas had. CU hasn't seen anything like that this year. Now,
Yeah.
am I saying that they're going to lock Travis up? No. That's what they're saying, by the way. They've been talking crazy, crazy, like CSU levels are crazy about Travis. So I imagine Travis especially will be keyed up for this one. Now, that being said, this is where Kansas hasn't dealt with a team like Colorado either. There are too many options that you have to worry about to
Right.
stop. So sure, you wanna put Kobe on Travis, fine. He's gonna beat him anyway because people don't really understand that you shouldn't try Travis until you do and you fail. That's
Right.
kind of what happens, right? And so especially offensively, no one has slowed him down offensively, Brian.
Oh, I mean, I thought Utah did a nice job against them the other day.
What I mean, why? I mean, Shepard and Western got involved a lot. I
I
just
know that,
thought
but I'm
that
saying, but Travis what didn't really have. I thought they did a nice job against Travis. I mean, Utah's
okay.
got a good secondary, and they were clearly not going to let Travis beat them. They did. I thought they did a nice job against Travis.
He still should have had 75 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, but he didn't.
No, they called it
So
back. They called it back because you didn't get the snap off. But
yeah, it
otherwise, he would have
wasn't a
had over
touchdown, but you're
75
right.
yards.
It
I'm talking
was
about
like
the
a
rushing.
30.
I was just talking about the rushing touchdown.
Well, yeah, he had the touchdown, but you're
That's all
right.
I'm saying. That's all I was trying to say. He's still. I mean,
Yeah,
if that's shutting him down, fine. You shut him down.
right.
I'm just saying, like, if
I
that's
didn't
what
say
it
shut
is,
him down. You said slow him down.
okay,
That
slow him down. You're right.
I
You're
thought
right.
Utah
Compared to
did
the
an. I
pace he's
thought
been on.
my point is I think Utah did a nice job against him, and KU might have better corners.
Yes, agreed, which is where
So
Will Shepard and Wester and Miller, the one guy who did not have a good game in coming back from injury, so there's some grace there, is Terrell Timmons. I
yeah,
expect him to be better this week. He needs to be better if he wants to keep playing for sure, because there were some bad moments for him. And again, he's coming back from injury, so grace there, and he showed us some good things in training camp. So again, it's going to be
well,
one of those
and
situations where you got to run the football for me.
well, a good thing for CU would be if Jimmy's ready too, because if you
Well,
can
I
get
mean,
Jimmy, and I mean they talked last week how they were hoping he would be able to go against um, Utah, seeing who they just played, but he wasn't able to go. Maybe another week. If he's able to go this week and you have all 4,
yeah.
somebody's getting open.
So you got a 3 point, what'd you say, 31-28?
30, 31, 28.
How's that finish?
What do you mean? How's it like? How do you think they'll
Yeah. That's
like
one thing
last
we used to
second
do.
field goal?
That's a question from my radio days. How does it if you get there, how do you get there?
Um, I think they're gonna have to come up with a defensive stop at the end.
Okay.
I think it'll be close the whole way. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be Mata hitting a game winner, but um, I think it'll be. I think it's gonna be tight the entire way, and you probably got to come up with a defensive stop near the end. Near the end.
And there's your opportunity to throw the "I told you so" right back in my face next weekend. So there you go. I gave you one back. Okay.
And you know what? Hey, Shiloh 2 weeks in a row has closed it out. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Shiloh
Three
closes it
weeks.
out with a big defensive play.
You're looking for the turkey,
I'm
huh?
going. I'm
And
going three
bowling.
in a row. I'm going three in a row.
Okay. Okay. You know what they say, third time's a charm. So
Yeah, he's been their
it's
closer.
yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, look, he's played better too. I think we should
Yeah,
give him credit. He's definitely
yeah,
played a lot better and good to see because he deserved to have a much better season last season than he started out having, which was very
yeah.
unfortunate. So good to see as well. Hopefully Shane Cokes is back too. The
Yep.
fact that they've been able to do what they did in the running game without him, that is huge. I mean, last year, can you imagine if they had to play without him?
Well,
That
that's
would have
because
been
Amari McNeil has been unbelievable.
co-defensive player of the week. Shout out
Yeah,
Amari McNeil. Shout
yeah,
out special teams player of the week, LeJontay Wester.
yeah.
You know, Amari's been great. And Quinn Barnes has also been
And you
really
know
good.
what? Amari was co-defense player of the week, and he was better last week.
Better last week. He was. He
Yeah, he
was
was
their whole
way better last
defensive
week.
line. I had
Yeah,
a couple of notes I wanted to hit. BJ Green, Arden Walker. I mean, how about that pass rush, the front seven that we talked about? The one part we didn't have at the beginning of the year was just how good their linebackers were going to be.
right.
And Bentley and Hill Green have been, I mean, they've been awesome guys. So
Yep.
cool to watch.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, lots of good stuff, and we'll see if they can keep it going this weekend. Not Lawrence, but in Kansas City, the home of the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium.
Do you have it? What do you think about that? Anything pop up to you? I mean, it's
No,
first time
I
they'll
mean,
be in an NFL stadium.
yeah. I mean, the Jayhawks have played well there the last 2 weeks. Last two times they've been there,
Mm-hmm.
they scored a ton of points there. I haven't looked to see what the atmosphere looks like there. My thought coming into the year was that it wouldn't be as good being in Arrowhead, not Lawrence, but they've played well there, and so
How
you know,
close to full you think?
man, what does that place hold?
That's
70.
that's a good question. Got to be like around 75, 70, 80. That's most NFL
It's not gonna
stadiums.
do that, but I wonder if it's gonna be a Rose Bowl sold out, right?
Where they just tarp off one or two
Yes,
sections. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like last year, like the UCLA game out there was a sellout,
Yeah.
but that's because they tarped off like the whole top section, and they sold what they did is they sold out the tickets they made available. They didn't
Right.
sell out the stadium.
That's right.
So I don't know how many tickets they make available for KU. If they do all, I don't know what Arrowhead holds. It's gotta be at least the size of Mile High, right?
I would think it's probably something like that. Although that whole area is just such a dump. I mean, it's just
Yeah, it
such a
is.
dump. So I would
But you
imagine
you don't you don't see NFL stadiums below 70 much anymore, do you?
no, but I would imagine we actually see a pretty good contingency of CU fans there. Like maybe more
Yeah.
so than others. I think this is as far as all the road trips outside of Lincoln, this is the easiest so far, right? It's 8 hours, what,
Oh,
eight?
easiest to get there. Yeah,
Yeah, as
maybe.
far as like
Yeah.
if you were driving, it's really not that big a
76,000 by the
deal.
way. 76,000. So
76. Yeah,
it's about the
70.
same as Mile High.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll
So,
see. It'll
yeah.
be fun. If Kansas were better, it'd probably be close to sold out. But that being said, what else is there to do in Kansas City on a Saturday? Go to the casino?
Get ready for the Chiefs game.
That's true. I don't even know if they can't be. Are they at home on Sunday?
They're not at home. I think they play Monday night next week,
Okay. Okay.
but
Well,
they're
we'll
not
see.
they're not at home because I looked at it because um I actually thought about if they were home of maybe looking into trying to go to their game on Sunday, but and
No.
catching that, but they're not even home. So yeah,
Maybe
let's
they have a
see.
prairie dog exhibit like Lubbock.
No, they're actually on the road. They play Carolina next Sunday.
Oh. After taking their first loss of the
Yeah.
season, I I feel bad for you already, Carolina fans.
All right,
All right,
Matt, let's get
Brian.
out of here. And I'll see you this week. And Buff fans, we'll see many of you, I'm sure, in Kansas City on Saturday. And Matt, have a good week.
You too, buddy.